Welcome to this live event. Hosted by Scott Lewis, Rob Flick, Brent Gove, and the legend Gene Frederick, we will be diving into a conversation about the unique potential that is in real estate right now. So grab some coffee, buckle up, here we go!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Are you serious about leveraging the vehicle of real estate? Our weekly show, We Were Built for This Live, is the missing link. If you want to avoid the mistakes most people make, accelerate results, and shorten the learning curve, get ready and buckle in. These real estate icons have amassed empires, generated passive income, and unlocked financial freedom. Every Saturday morning, we deliver impactful action items from real estate leaders that have built successfully in all economic conditions. My name is Scott Lewis, and welcome to my co-hosts, Brent Gove, Gene Frederick, and Rob Flick. Hey guys, how you doing?
How are you?
Morning.
Another unbelievable week for all those EXP folks out there. We had our convention this week. Oh my God, it was just one panel after another. You know, I know people were absolutely blown away by the fact that we did it virtually. I mean, I was a little nervous. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, how's this going to go down, man? I mean, what's going to happen? You know, what's going to implode? But from what I could see, it went pretty well. And I think it was a great week. I think we showed the world that we are the leader and the cutting edge of virtual businesses, not just real estate, but in the world. And a huge shout out to Verbella for getting it done. And of course, our founder, Glenn Sanford, and his vision. Wow, it went off without a hitch, and couldn't be more excited. And I could not be more excited about our show today. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a good one.
Ooh. I hear you, Scott, man. I was saying my prayers. You know, you're talking about thousands and thousands of people flooding into the world. I think we're the only company that had, well, I know there had to be a few that somehow, some way through big Zooms, but to actually be able to walk up to people and talk to people on campus, go into the departments like it was an open house at a college, and to take in all the different mastermind breakout sessions. Some of those rooms had 1,100, 1,200 agents in the breakout rooms. It was like, wow. And then when they did the masterminding, we were able to break up into groups of 4 or 5 and go round robin with 1,200 people in a room and only hear the people in your group of 4 or 5. That was cool.
That was
and
cool.
It was also great for the first time, and it was very exciting that the company highlighted many of the major attractors and put down that this is a big reason why the company is going where it is, because of the people that were on the panel, all of yourselves and me included, to be able to really hear from the people who are making this happen, who are building this company on a daily, hourly basis, quite frankly. It was really great to hear from all the different viewpoints and what they were doing. And it's great to see the professionalism that's being spread throughout the country. That was really exciting. And to be the up and comers, to see the people that were coming behind us, you know, as they call us, what, the old guard or the old, I forget what they said, the OGs. Huh?
Yeah,
Just
old
old
dogs. OD.
and having the people coming behind us that are starting to really rock and roll. That's very exciting, I have to say.
And Gene, you know what? I mean, for people that are watching the show, because there's a lot of people watching the show today that have no idea right now what we're talking about.
Well, you know, this whole week, I hear my mom talking to me, and I know we have all learned lessons from our parents or our mentors. My mom taught me from the very beginning, don't prejudge. It hit me all week. Don't prejudge. I was with all of you. I'm prejudging. You know, a conference in the cloud using a gaming platform. I mean, I'm prejudging in my head. This is not going to be good. And I mean, you know, seriously, because conventions all our lives, they canceled South by Southwest. They canceled Realogy's convention. We canceled our convention in April, right? And then we went, you know what? Why are we canceling it? Why are we canceling it? Let's use our platform to do our convention. And all I heard all week when it was good, better. I mean, Dave and Stacy, I mean, gosh, you guys rocked. I mean, I'm talking our staff. It went on like a convention. It went on like it flowed. And everybody went, it was really funny when they said, well, go to your next breakout. And they'd say, see you in 15 minutes. And the avatars would walk across and as if they were going to their breakout session. And I told Dave, because I came in one night, I was huffing. I said, it took me a long time to walk from the, you know, hotel over there. I had to stop by the casino. And he starts laughing. I said, I am telling you guys, we have something. You guys have no idea. I had more talks about Verbella this week from huge companies that realized what we were doing. And they were in there looking at us. You guys have no idea yet. Just wait. Wow. Because it's something that I knew, and I know Glenn knew it was special. We all knew it was special, but let's face it. People are not going to go to conventions like they used to for a while, at least for a while, right? I mean, we'll get back to it someday, but right now they're like, I want to get together. I want to see my peeps. I want to talk to people. And this is interaction that nobody really understands unless they've been in our world. Don't prejudge, guys. I'm telling you, it worked.
You know what's shocking, Gene? I was in a room with two vice presidents of EXP, Chris Bear and Sam Rodriguez, and the room got jam-packed, overflowing. It was all about international growth and expansion. It was blown out. And Chris goes, hold on. I'm going to make the room larger. And he literally made the room larger. I mean, how many times have I remember going to Remax and Keller Williams events, and a room's got 400 people, and that's all it holds. And it is jam-packed, and you can't get through the door. He just went 600 people. Oh, that filled up 1,200 people at the push of a button. Now, that was cool, and no cranky fire marshal.
No fire marshal, right? No fire marshal. No, we have
love you fire marshals out there, but
no fire marshal.
Events.
What was your takeaway, Rob? I know you were on a big panel. What was your takeaway from the event?
Well, I felt all along it was going to come off incredible. I know that they've been. My only concern was that there might be some internet glitch. You know, that was really it. But I thought that we've got the platform. We've got everybody together. There were incredible, great panels. We had the people with the interest that wanted to come. We have the technology. The only thing that I was hoping was that everybody had a good internet connection. That was all. I remember when we first started and we started seeing the world 4 years ago, when you get 35 people in there and it would blow up. Boom! It would be gone. We get 100 people and it would be boom. And then we thought, well, imagine someday we can get 500 people and boom. And now we can get thousands and thousands. It's just the technology advancing. No, I thought it was great. I attended several of the breakout sessions. Really enjoyed that a lot, getting to see the different people and how this was coming. And I could really get a glimpse of, like what Gene said, I think what the future businesses and people are going to start realizing that more and more we're a virtual world. We're a virtual capacity. We have the ability to do so many more things virtually that saves us time, money, effort. It increases the speed with which we can get things done, which we can communicate with people. I love it. I never have been a technology guy, but I'm fired up. I really like what I saw.
Yeah. Hey, can I mention something?
Gino, I got to ask you a question. I'm sorry, but I have to ask you a question because I remember your words when you first saw EXP and you went home and told Susan, we own Blockbusters, and I just saw Netflix. That rang so true in my ear, and it still rings today. It's like, and I've got to be thinking some crazy stuff is going on in your mind right now about where we're going next. And, because you're such a visionary, you really are. And, I applaud you for that. It's just awesome for the vision that you've had for this company and the way people just follow your vision. And so I've got to hear from you now. What's next? What are you thinking?
Well, here's what's exciting to me, and thank you, Scott. And by the way, it's all of ours vision, right? Because the vision comes from everyone. We've all put up vision boards. Here's my thing. I want to put a shout out to one gentleman I just met this week, Michael Valdez. We just hired somebody this week who's the head of international. Michael Valdez spent 15 years at Realogy, expanding worldwide for them. When I met Michael this week, and I had private conversations with him in the world first, by the way, as avatars, he went, Gene, there's no reason we can't go into so many countries faster than we ever thought. And he has the connections to do that. So where do I see us going from now? Until a week ago, boom, Brent. When Brent says 1 million realtors, I love it. You know why? Our whole life, we have old tapes. I call them old tapes. We have old tapes. If we get an office to 50 agents, that's good. If we get an office to 100, I ran the second largest office for another company. When we got to 100 agents, we thought it was all. Then we got to 150 agents. Oh my God. And then I got the office to 641 agents. I started thinking 1,000 agents in one office. So when I saw this model, Scott, the reason I got it so quick is I ran large offices for other companies. And I went, if we just got rid of the stupid limited beliefs in our heads, get over it. Because I think there's no reason we can't have 1 million realtors. I mean, literally, you think of the collaboration, that word collaboration, I'm loving it now. I think I'm gonna have t-shirts made, just collaboration. Everybody talks about it. It's the most used word on earth right now. But quite honestly, like Rob said, we are communicating faster, quicker. That's what people want. And like right now with the what we're going through with the pandemic, you can imagine our company has not stopped growing. I'm bumping my numbers up for the year. I'm bumping my numbers up for the next 5 years. Thank you, Michael Valdez. I'm just putting a shout out to you, my friend. Thank you.
Excited to meet Michael and excited about where he's going to take this company. And he reached out to me last week, and I've heard from a lot of people already about their excitement around him. So huge hire, and thank you, EXP. So let's talk about anything. Well, before I bring on our guest, I've got to parlay something that you just said in. And I'm going to ask Brent because, when you talk about 1 million agents, people may look at that and go, well, that's just crazy thinking, right? I mean, but in your mind and in my mind and in Rob and Gene's mind, we've been talking about this for years.
Oh, yeah. 1 million is not a problem.
We have been sharing this for 4 years now, that because of this model, we have the opportunity, but it's so different. And I was just talking to our guest that's about to come on about this. He was like, he's been studying, and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe any agent wouldn't do this if they took the time to really understand it. And you've obviously been a massive part of the growth, Brent, but what is it that the agent gets here? Because we're about inspiring the agent, right? What is it?
Right. Well, I mean, they get to join a winning team, right? I mean, to when you're on the Sacramento Kings, I live in Sacramento. It's like, oh, let them win, and we've been losing. It's the Browns know what I'm talking about. Any Browns fans out there, and so it kind of sucks. So when you get on, like when the Seattle Seahawks were winning, or when the Dallas Cowboys were winning, or if you're a Tiger Woods fan and he's winning, it's just fun to be on a winning team. And you guys were the visionaries. Glenn Stanford made the torch, and then he gave it to Brian and David and other people. Then you guys picked it up, and it's like a baton relay race. And Gene grabbed that sucker and just took off. And then he handed it to Rob, and Rob handed it to Scott. Scott handed it to me. And then we have all these people coming up, and we're handing them the baton, and we're running race after race after race. It's very exciting. But here's the cool thing. Remember the whole theme of this, built for this? We were built for this. We are the safe haven. We are the safe harbor. The economics of it. Like right now, I'm in a position where I can afford it, but we're going to $1 million. And I personally spend $100,000 a month on staff and events and airline tickets and stuff. $100,000 a month on growing this company because I have a big vision to go to $1 million. And I got the vision from the three of you, and you guys got it from Glenn and Brian and other people. And so here's the deal. That event we put on this last week, you know what it costs to rent the convention center in Sacramento or Austin or Orlando? Big money. What did it cost EXP to put on that thing? I'll give you an idea. I rent a grand ballroom here in Roseville, California, a suburb of Sacramento, holds 500 people, and we stuff it full of excited EXP agents and brokers and guests, and it's just like, it's brand new, it's splashy, and we were able to rent it for about $3,000, you know? Well, a new company bought it. It's $10,000 just to seat 500 people. $10,000. And so the economics of growing in the Bay Area, a small room holds 200 people. It's like $3,800 for a few hours. And so now we have the world. You know how much Verbella learned last week? Oh, baby, they learned a lot. It was like a lab, right? And so how many of our agents buy airline tickets, hotel rooms, convention tickets, meals, et cetera, et cetera? Lost money on the golf course to Jeff Willems. Anyways, not that I have personal experience. And all three of these guys know my pain at that level, and it was not good. But here's the deal. Nothing. And the value was through the roof. I sat at Stroop's house because he's got this theater with these leather chairs, and his wife was bringing us food. We're a part of the fat-demic. Anyways, that's what I renamed the pandemic, the fat-demic. Oh my God, give me to a gym. But so here's the deal. We had a blast. I've sat through RE/MAX conventions, Craig Proctor conventions, Howard Brinton Star Power, NAEA, all these mega camp, whatever, and you sit in these chairs for hours and hours, for 8 hours. We were like in these lazy boys, you know, and we're watching, and there's no Zoom fatigue. There's no hours and hours of Zoom. In the avatar, you don't get tired, and you can sharp up and involve and type in the notes, and everyone's, oh man, it was incredible. And it went off so much better. I was so concerned. I'm like, oh, are we going to tank? Are we just going to embarrass ourselves? Well, let me tell you, welcome to leadership. Leadership means putting that chin on the line and being willing to embarrass yourself. And thank God, if we would embarrass ourselves, oh well, lesson learned. Let's do it different. Let's get better. And it didn't go perfect. And we learned a ton of lessons, but I am so thrilled. I don't know about the three of you, so enough said, but it was an awesome, awesome week. And I'm still on cloud 25 or whatever it is.
Well, I'm on cloud 25 about our next guest. And you know, I've been looking forward to this whole week. And so I'm going to bring on, well, first of all, I'm going to bring in Mr. Don Hobbs, who is a very good friend of our guest. And so if I can bring Don in here really quickly. And I know Don was instrumental in getting this gentleman on our panel today, him and his wife, Crystal. And Don, how you doing? You're muted, brother. Hit the mute button. That one.
Well, how about that? Is that better?
Much better.
Brother, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me back on. And guys, it's good to see you all. I know last week we were talking about, I was hearing all the great stuff. Brent, I was with you. I actually had concerns over how that was going to turn out. And I was in tears on the first day. I actually was just tears running down my face going, we killed this thing. We killed it. We looked so powerful, so good. And it was a showcase for us. I think you're right. It could have been a disaster, but it was a showcase because the power of what we're doing right now is so large, and we have so much momentum behind us. And by the way, you guys deserve a ton of that credit. This show, I've been looking at the audiences, like 15,000 people, 25,000. I think we were on one with Glenn Sanford some weeks back, hit 43,000 views. I mean, this is pushing the word out to a lot of people. And we've got a lot of people that are starting to see this differently because, in their companies right now, when they start talking about it, and they think about what is that thing, and somebody goes, oh, and they poo-poo it, but they don't have any clue. They don't have any idea. And we are really the Brent, the safe haven for sure. But more than that, we were absolutely built for this, and I love being on the show. Scott, can I go ahead and introduce? Was there anything else we were supposed to be doing, or can I just introduce our guest today, because I'm super excited about that.
Our way.
Yeah, so I want to introduce you to two of my friends. One of them long-term, one of them I met over a decade ago. She would be somebody that I know a little less, but Mark Victor and Crystal Dwyer Hansen. And, some of you will know the names already because they're both big in their own right. And I want to just kind of take you through and introduce you to these people because their bigness, their impact on the world has been so large. Let me start with Crystal because I met Crystal about 12 years ago. Mark and I were speaking for a real estate convention, and it was, awesome. And I got a chance to meet her, and I was totally impressed with who she was. And actually, if I remember correctly, I think Crystal's got a real estate background. I think she was actually in the real estate business, which was kind of fascinating considering where she's been. But the last few years, and for many years, actually, she's been one of the leading success and wellness coaches in the country. And she's got practices in Newport Beach and Arizona where they have homes. And she's a certified life coach, wellness and nutrition expert. And I tell you, when COVID-19 started, Mark was loading me up with what to take and what to do. And, every time I get sick, these guys come to bat and they're, here's what you should be taking. So they're brilliant at health. And if you look at the two of them, their vitality is amazing. But she has her own set of programs and books, and she's written so many articles and video programs and all of that. And she too, just like her husband, has been involved in the human potential movement for a long, long time. Crystal's the founder of Crystal Vision Life, and you can find that at, by the way, crystalvisionlife.com. For those of you that don't know her. And Skinny Life is a wellness company. Her book, Skinny Life, The Secret to Being Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit, is available on Barnes & Noble. And Brent, I was thinking about when you said what was your club? The new group, the Fandemic, the Fatdemic?
The Fatdemic.
The Fatdemic, yeah, exactly. So we're going to get a lot of help from them today. But the reason they're here is to talk about a book that they've just written. And I want to tell you now about Mark Victor, because Mark Victor Hansen and I have been friends for a long time. Like we were talking the other day and he goes, how long have we known each other? I said, 40 plus years. I'm calling it 42 because I'm pretty sure I know when we met. But Mark is widely known as a motivational speaker, author, and a lot of people on this program are going to know him from some of his big books that have been huge. The 1 Minute Millionaire. Almost all these are in my library. The Richest Kids in America was fun. How to Make the Rest of Your Life Be the Best of Your Life. The Power of Focus. The Aladdin Factor. These are big books that were huge in my influence. And Dare to Win. And today you're going to see, the two of these people are they're charismatic. They grab the audience's attention. They speak from their hearts. And Mark is a master storyteller. I just love listening to him talk. His voice is like silk. And I've always really thought he was a fun guy to listen to. And, I had the good fortune for my early years of being around Jim Rohn. And that's actually where I met Mark. We were both kind of coming up at the same time. But many of you will know Mark really for all the things he's done as the guy, that chicken soup for the soul guy. And that's because Mark and his business partner, Jack Canfield, created what Time Magazine called the publishing phenomenon of the decade. And many people don't know this, but they sold over 500 million. Check it out. 500 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books across the world. So Mark Victor Hansen, it's crazy, right? It's just nuts. They've always talked about what's possible and driven to make the world a better place. And I've always admired that, Mark, and you. And because of that, Mark is the elite recipient of the prestigious Horatio Alger Award. That is no small feat, guys. That's monstrous. Those are people that win that award are names we all know. And Mark, even with that resume, I want to go back to Crystal because you married up, my friend. We're so happy to have both of you here. And I hope Crystal, I asked for you to be on the show when Mark and I were talking. We were kind of getting this together. I said, I want Crystal on the show as well. I'm sure he would have asked anyway, but I want to make sure that you knew you were really a big part of this. And we were trying to get you guys last week, by the way, and the reason we couldn't is because it was your birthday. So happy birthday to you from all of us. And I trust the celebration's still going on and you're having a good time with it. And there's, still a Zoom parties going on in your honor and you guys are having fun. I know the two of you are writing books together, one of which we're talking about today. And Gino, I know you've been reading it, called Ask. We want to talk about that today. You guys work together. You have a beautiful family. I know you're both passionate philanthropists and humanitarians and working with organizations. I was thinking about this, that you work with Habitat for Humanity. Most of us as realtors have been very involved and active in that. Red Cross, Operation Smile. But you're also co-chairs for the Child Help Global Fundraising Campaign. I thought that was very powerful. So, Crystal, you and I did get a chance to meet back all those years, but I haven't seen you much since then. Mark and I get a chance to talk all the time. We're so grateful you guys agreed to be with us this morning. Welcome to We Were Built for This, Crystal Dwyer and Mark Victor Hansen. Everybody?
Yay, thank you. Go ahead and unmute yourself down there, guys.
Glad you guys are here.
We're elated to be with you. We're thankful for the introduction. We loved listening to you, and we see that EXP is going to be the future of a lot of businesses because you've got the Verabella, and what you're doing is you're taking leadership, and visionary leadership is what all the four of you before Don got on said is top down, inside out. And what you've done is Glenn saw the convergence of obviously computation, networking, and AI, and we're at the very beginning. And what I just heard Brent say is that we're going to go to the world, and seeing as I've done seminars for 44 years, starting long ago with Don, we traveled the chicken circuit together, so to speak. It is amazing that we had a lot of rooms that we couldn't fill up in the old days, and now we can just go, like he said, boom. So we're beyond excited to be with you all.
Excited being here.
Well, yeah. Any comments you guys have welcoming, of course, our guests? I want to ask one thing because Mark, I go back with you, as you said, we're back in 42 years ish, give or take, when Jim Rohn was, huge in Orange County, and I remember, this name coming up, Mark Victor Hansen. Mark Victor Hansen, who is this guy? And so we got a chance to meet. I don't know how old you are. I actually don't know how old you are, or how much. Whether it's a year older or 6 months older than I, but it feels like we were raised together. And by the way, in the overall scheme of things, you've won the battle. You just killed it, my friend. But I want to take you back. I remember you when in the early days, and in fact, you and I were in the green room when we were all videotaping some messages to Jim Rohn when he was getting very ill and getting ready to cross over. And I remember talking to you then, but. Man, you started this movement of yours 44 years ago. Tell us how it all started in Orange County, California.
Wow. Well, first of all, I went bankrupt and I lost absolutely everything in 1974, and I was lower than dirt. I was so low I had to reach up to touch bottom. And when I went upside down, which no one listening to this company would do that, but when I was feeling depressed, despondent, and disconsolate, I had to check a book at the library, How to Go Bankrupt by Yourself. And then after 6 months of hiding out, I finally said, well, what we're teaching in the Ask book is ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And I said, oh man, what do I really want to do? And I said, I really want to talk to people that care, things that matter, that would make a life-changing difference. And I'm living in a little dumpy house. I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag in front of some other guy's room for 6 months. I had no money. But I got a breakfast with my 3 roommates in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. What a name, right? And I said, any of you guys know somebody that's young, that's trying to be a professional speaker, that's not a cotton top, meaning old, like I am now? And I'm 72 and answer your question, but I'm healthy and I'm going to live to be 127 with options for renewal. That's not a doctor or a lawyer. And the guy said, yeah, there's this kid talking to real estate out in Hauppauge, Long Island, New York. I had the only thing the bankruptcy courts had not taken from me was a beat up old pitted window, permanently air conditioned Volkswagen. I mean, I used to have to wipe the snow off the window. That's how tragic it was. But I went out, heard this kid, he was like 8 years older than me, mesmerize 500 real estate people on Long Island. And I was sitting there in awe. I go up to him at the end and say, I'm Mark Victor Hansen. Can I ask to take you to lunch? He said, I'd love a free lunch. I said, can I ask you at lunch about how you do this business? Because this is what my heart and soul says I'm supposed to do. Long story very short, he told me what to do. He said, stay out of real estate, kid, which I didn't do long term, but go train in life insurance and I'll tell you exactly what to do. Well, Don and I are close friends with Tony Robbins. And the first 3 years, Tony and I are the only two guys that did 1,000 talks a year for the first 3 years. Because if you're going to ask, then you got to follow it up with massive action. And obviously, I was talking as early as 6 in the morning, then at 10, 2, and 8 o'clock at night, and selling in between more seminars. But then everyone said, "Do you have it in a book?" And the first book I did was called Stand Up, Speak Out, and Win. And we're selling it for $10. But from the little platforms I was doing, including moving from New York to California because I was making so much money, I sold 20,000 copies at $10 each. I took in $200,000. I felt like you guys. I said, "Holy cow, man, I have arrived. I have died and gone to heaven. I'm doing what I want. People are letting me autograph." I didn't say it was the world's bestseller at that time. I said, it's my bestseller.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you're a beautiful man. I've always enjoyed you. I'm excited to hear about your 127 years. I had called 106. You just may have inspired me to jump that up. I've been saying 106 for many years. So we'll see how long I can keep that proclamation.
Add one condition, Don, and that is with options for renewal.
I like that.
What Crystal and I say, because she's obviously my health coach, is that if you got a high quality of life, you want a high quantity of life. Why would you want to die early? And all of you guys are healthier. And when you're doing a job that you love, you feel better. The endorphins go on red alert. You listen to good stories, and the story, first it's mindset, then it's nutrition set, then it's exercise set, as far as she teaches. And I don't want to steal any of her thunder.
That's beautiful. I definitely want to hear from Crystal, and I definitely can't wait for. Matter of fact, I think it's time, Crystal. You sit there long enough and listen. What inspires you? What drives you?
Well, recently Mark and I have just been so inspired by sharing this book because what we realized, you guys, is we have the opportunity to travel all over the world. We meet so many amazing, incredible people. And what we found is most people are over-endowed with talent. They have way more talent, skills, and ability, likability than they will ever use in this lifetime. But we found one distinction between those who are super successful and those who keep kind of missing the target. And that is your ability to ask. And that it sounds so simple, and it is a simple tool we're all born with, but it gets sort of knocked out of us as we go along in life. So if we don't spend time deliberately rekindling our ability to ask and really examining it, becoming aware of what our roadblocks are, then we often will miss our greatest potential. And we say when you are able to ask questions, when you start asking, the three channels through which we ask are ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And asking yourself is where we start, because that retrospective journey is what gives you clarity and awareness. And when you start doing that, question by question, answer by answer, you start to get solutions, you start to get ideas, you start to get a breakthrough or a plan. And suddenly you find yourself from this, really stuck place in your life, which we're all going to go through. Life has its vicissitudes, and there's a lot of up and a lot of down. So, how do we get through those times and keep moving? Well, we found the asking journey is truly the most simple way and effective way to keep moving along. And answer by answer, solution by solution, you start to see yourself literally moving from those dreams in your heart to your destiny. And that's why we say, ask is the bridge from your dreams to your destiny, because that, yes. So it's just so profound. We interviewed 26 people for this book, and, asked about some of them are incredibly, wealthy billionaires, and others are just really successful people in life. But in each one of them, the breakthroughs, the success came through identifying that asking journey. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my own, probably one of my most profound, times of coming and really pivoting out of a difficult situation. I was one of those kids who found high school very easy. And I accelerated my curriculum and graduated at age 16 and married my boyfriend, who was 5 years older. Great plan, right? So 2.5 years later, I found myself alone in a city with a new city, brand new city, no friends, no family, had a baby on my hip, I'm divorced. And literally, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life or how to survive. And so I did what I could think of, and that was to apply for food stamps. And I got those food stamps, went to the grocery store for the first time. And I remember standing there getting ready to check out and hand those food stamps over to the grocer. And in that moment, I had a major epiphany. This question dropped in my mind. And first of all, it was, how did I get here? And then the second question that followed that was, are you doing everything you can to get out of this situation? Or are you taking the easy way out? And the second that dropped in my mind, I knew the answer. The answer was already there. I knew, no, I wasn't doing everything I could to get out of that situation. And all of a sudden I felt this extreme conviction. And as I was turning those food stamps over to that woman, I was saying to myself, she didn't know what I was thinking, but I said, this will not be my future. This will be the last time I ever use these. And in fact, I never even finished the food
They're all
stamps.
clapping for you.
I left them on the shelf. I'm like, this will not be my future. So I went home and kept asking questions, what can I do to start earning money tomorrow? There has to be a way. So at the time, I'd heard about Kelly Services, Kelly Girls, temporary service agents. I registered for Kelly Services and then realized there were several others. So I thought, why not register for all of them? Because what they would do is they'd call you up daily and give you a choice of jobs that you could say yes or no to. And I found, well, if I register for more, I'll have more options. So started doing jobs, working at attorneys' offices and at malls, setting up booths and doing sales at conventions and things like that. And I realized I learned a lot about myself, that I really like business, that I like sales, and, I love people, and I was pretty good at it. So I decided then to get my real estate license, put myself through real estate school. Yeah. And it was amazing. I went to work for the largest new home builder in our town. And at the time it was Continental Homes. And a year and a half from that time that I turned those food stamps over to that woman, I was working for the top home builder in our city. I became the #1 realtor for our company. And I had, in the meantime, also approached a modeling agency because a couple of people said, you should go do modeling. So I asked them, can you sign me? And I just happened to get the bigger one to sign me in our valley, and did a couple of television commercials. They went national. So I'm selling real estate. I'm getting, I become the #1, and I'm getting residuals. Yeah, Screen Actors Guild residuals. And it was just such a miraculous transition from where I was. But I often thought back about it throughout my entire life. I've thought back on that day because it would have been so easy. I had all the excuses in the world to collapse into my misery and say, I'm single, I'm a mother, I have no way of helping myself. But I'm so thankful that I was able to ask those difficult questions, and even more importantly, answer them honestly, because a lot of times, we start asking ourselves those questions and we kind of know, and then we go, no, I don't want to face that. We have to face those questions with honest answers. And if we're willing to do that, life can change so dramatically. It becomes truly magical.
I love it. I love it. Crystal, Mark, let me ask you a question. In our business, we help buyers buy and sellers sell, and we've been doing that. I've been doing it for 24 years. Gene's been doing it for 25, maybe a year or two more. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. And that's what everybody does at every company. But Glenn Sanford has made a way for us to build the company with them and be rewarded as an owner, but through the stock awards and the revenue sharing. So not only are we helping buyers buy, sellers sell, but we're asking other agents and broker associates worldwide to join us. And what would you say to the agents out there where they're like afraid to ask? They're gripped with fear, or like somebody was mean to them and they're like, ooh, I tried sushi, didn't like it. Not going to do that again. I tried being vegan, didn't like it. What would you say to the people who tried it once or twice and had a bad experience, or B, they're gripped with fear and they're afraid to ask? Because we know the quality of great questions is huge. Any thoughts on that? Because that's really what our audience is dealing with, quite honestly, is the fear of being afraid to ask, or maybe they had a bad experience.
Well, first of all, I want to give everybody listening permission to ask. And if you read our book, it'll take you deep. But let me just do my own story on that, because obviously I've been selling forever, and Don and I have known each other and have been training in real estate. And when I trained in real estate, I said, not only should you sell it, but you ought to buy some of it and own it forever. And I know you've used our colleague and our neighbor here. We live in Scottsdale, Arizona, with Tommy Hopkins, and he used to buy, if he didn't sell a house, he bought a house. So it was a sort of cool idea. And that was one of the things I used to teach, because Tommy and I have He's way older than I am, but we've known each other forever. The point is that when I started with Chicken Soup, Jack and I, 144 people rejected us. We got a stack of pink, they're called pink slips in the publishing business. And they were actually saying, hit the road, Jack. And I said, look, it's okay if you don't like him, but I'm a really nice guy. and then we went to the ABA because we kept selling, the American Bookseller, sorry. And we carried backpacks with 3-ring binders of our book, went to every other booth. Finally, the 145th person said, I read your little book. I cried all over my silk shirt. We'll take it if you'll buy 20,000 books at $6 each. That's actually a vanity press. We made that guy worth $1 billion, actually. You know, Little Health Communications. They were upside down when we got there, but we didn't know it, right? But nobody would take us, and weren't smart enough to do self-publication at the time. So you got to, and answer your question, the biggest answer is be rejection proof. Start affirming, I'm rejection proof. And if somebody says no, you got to say NEXT, next, and then go to the next person. You got to overbook yourself so you're forced to keep moving. And then one of the guys we interviewed in Ask, who I can do his whole story. It's a long, great story, but today he has made 50 Academy Award movies like Rocky and Batman and all that. We sat with him, and he owns a little company called the Golden State Warriors and the Dodgers, because I know that you're a sports fan and not necessarily that sport, but Peter Guber is our close friend. And Peter says, Mark, you're so damn dyslexic. You think no means on. and that's what we're saying, is that you got to keep going onward, upward, and goodward to see what your potential is, because what universe does, and I may be over answering your question, is it tests us. So 144 rejections because the publishers knew everything. They are the power brokers of whether you make it or not. You know, they're not. You and I got to individually, because Crystal will always say it's always got to be inside you before it can be outside you.
Right. And just to add to that, you guys, we have a section in the book called The 7 Roadblocks to Asking. And these are very real emotions that people experience, and which prevents you from asking. And so it's so important to study those and read about those and understand. We did some beautiful stories in there about people who experienced those roadblocks and overcame the roadblocks. The beautiful thing about reading other people's stories is stories become metaphors for our own lives. And metaphors, our brain is interesting because it thinks in patterns. In its desire for efficiency, it thinks in patterns. So those metaphors become patterns for us to emulate and model. And so it's very important to read these stories and study them, because you can learn so quickly through the experiences of others without necessarily having to go through every single thing that other people go through. But those roadblocks are things like unworthiness, fear, naivete, doubt, pattern paralysis. You know, we just get stuck in our own patterns. We've just done it for so long that we just don't even know another way to do it. Disconnection is another terrible one. I mean, a lot of times people just shut down so much from the dreams in their own hearts. They're just completely disconnected from their desires. And that's a really sad one. So we want to rekindle everyone's desire, because, you know, asking is such a wonderful, simple journey. And I just want to say to all the listeners that everything, every accomplishment, every success, every breakthrough has always come through asking. I know when you guys thought of this company, you know, you had to start asking, like, how can we do this better? What's not working in real estate? Why would this model be so much better? And as you started asking, the solutions started coming to you. And I think what you guys have experienced is you end up exceeding your initial expectation, because when you start on that asking journey, like you were saying, it's so much better than you even thought it would be, to be able to bring all these people to one place, to be able to bring the whole world into this experience, to make it easier, to make it accessible. It's such a wonderful time to get into real estate, and it's amazing for people to be able to connect. And we always say that's what the asking journey does. You know, we're too isolated. We need to get comfortable with asking each other, because we're one another's greatest resources. The research we did on asking, and this is really important, back to your original question, how do we get over this fear? People really need to understand this. It's in the book. The studies done on asking show that people in the study going in, the perception was, if I ask, people are going to think I'm stupid, uninformed, they're not going to like me, they're going to reject me, they're going to think I'm pushy. the opposite is true. When you ask somebody something, a favor, whatever, ask for something, ask for help, people are 80% likely to listen to you and to consider your request. You know, if you ask with an open heart, now there's a way to prepare to asking. It gets a little deeper than that. You need to prepare to be a good asker and consider other things, but that's a huge chance that things will go well if you will just ask.
Love it.
Hey,
Thank you.
that was phenomenal. I'm gonna ask a question, Scott. I feel like I know you guys because I teach on asking as well. I think because of Google, because of stuff. So, you know, look, I've got a 12-year-old, right? My granddaughter's up there and she's just Googling all day. She's never learned how to ask.
Bingo.
Right?
Yeah.
She's never learned how to ask. The one that hit me that I've taught forever, I've been in the real estate business since the early 80s. By the way, I'm from Phoenix as well.
Oh, cool.
A Phoenician.
I know who Continental is. But I will tell you this, that I've been using this example that you have in your book from 1972 from Thomas Manere, the New York example of the Jones book, Beach. People on this call, see, they're afraid to ask strangers.
Right.
Right? And really, actually, and I'm telling you, the experts on here, you guys don't know the people up on here, but Rob Flick is an expert at asking strangers because I've taught the help script forever. In other words, I could go out today and just ask people, can you help me? And if I do it with an open heart and sincerity and humble and know that it's going to help people, everybody on this call, and to answer your question, Brent, they can just say, can you help me? And they're going to go, what do you mean? Well, can you help me? I'm having a hard time finding real estate agents that want to look at a good model, a new model. What do you mean? I don't even care if they want to look at it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Them to give me people that have an open heart. So to answer your question for all the realtors on here, literally, Rob Flick claimed to Dallas, Texas, at my lake house where I am right now, Rob, and it's raining like crazy, just like that day when I talked to you. He moved to Dallas from Phoenix. And he says, I don't know anybody, but Gene, that isn't going to stop me. I'll just start asking people. He is a master. I'll just start asking everybody, can you help me? I need to find a good realtor. Who's your realtor? And is it okay if I call them? I know your scripts, Rob, because they're not scripts, they're you. We call them scripts, but they're not scripts. They're him.
Yep.
Right? So,
Perfect.
so to me, that whole thing, you need to make that a big thing. It's page 77, 78, by the way, just so you know, on the book. Yeah, because you guys need to explain to them that it's easier to ask strangers. You literally
Absolutely.
can ask strangers, just help me.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, and what happens is you guys are literally, I mean, you're in 4 countries now, but I really see that you're going to go in all 228 countries around the world. We've talked in 80 countries, and everywhere, people universally would like to have the American dream. Is what's the first part of the American dream, other than the home of the free and the land of the free and the home of the brave, is you want to own your own home.
Yep.
Everybody, I don't care if you're in Jamaica, I don't care if you're in Asia, I don't care if you're in Europe, want to own a home. And there's nothing better. And now for the first time virtually, when I read your stuff, somebody from another continent can come here and buy it. And if we bring all that money back to America, that can only be good for America. And the future, in the last 2 months, we've had over 10 years of change. It's been like that. You guys are you're either leading edge, cutting edge, dull edge, or trailing edge. Most people are those 3 edges. You guys are the leading edge company doing the right thinking. And the other thing is that you're doing what the first thing I think Glenn said was that we're visionaries. Well, yeah, because what did Solomon, the richest man of all time, at least according to the Bible, said, what? Without vision, we perish. That's the most important line. Second most important line, he said, your job is to be an influencer of influencers, Psalm 72. The point is, the only way you can influence, as far as we're concerned, and I think everybody here, is, are you willing to ASK to GET the business? That's it. There's no other deal. And by the way, I get goosebumps sharing it. I mean, Don has sat in my lectures with, Jim Rohn, who is one of the giants and one of my great friends. We did worldwide seminars, sometimes 10 a month in 7 to 8 different international cities. So we did a thing. We owned a virtual company. The first streaming company was TPN, the People's Network, and we were the trainers for it. So, but you guys are at the absolute leading edge on this one. And we just think everybody's got to have ask, because We want to create a millions of askers just so they feel good about themselves.
Right.
And the subtext of our book is, what did it say? The bridge from your dreams, your heartfelt dreams to your destiny. We believe everyone has a destiny. And if you got a destiny, your job is to find it. And most people don't know how to do it. And she's created she wrote about mental excavation. How do you get rid of the junk so you think positively, so you do it? Brent said, overcome all that negativity. Well, I'm not good enough to ask, and nobody likes me, and blah, 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 blah. All of us got to get through all that junk to go forward.
Right. And can I just add to that? I think a lot of people, they get scared because they're focusing on the wrong thing when they go in to ask. The other aspect of asking is really just, there's a saying that says, if you get nervous, focus on service. Okay, so a lot of people go in, and we have a really excellent story in the book about this. It's called How We Beat Out a $1 billion Behemoth. And it's basically, the gist of the story is this. When you go in to sell anyone anything, don't try to sell them. Stop trying to sell them. Like, people walk up and go, oh, I have the best thing in the world, and you should listen to me, and let me tell you what it is, and let me tell you why you need it, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let me just shove this on you. Start with service, okay? Ask about them first. Tell me about you. Get to know them. What are your problems and concerns? I promise you, somewhere in that conversation, money, financial stability, freedom, flexibility in your job. So then you start asking them, well, how could I be of service to you? If I was able to solve those problems for you, what would that look like? Get into a conversation that only has to do with what are your problems, what are your greatest concerns, and how can I be of service? And, gosh, this is what I do. And it works really well for me because it gives me all of these options and all this flexibility. I'm wondering if that could be helpful to you. I mean, don't try to go sell somebody something. It's never going to work, right? Ask them about themselves. Get to know them. Create a bond. Curiosity between people. Another study that we talk about in the book is just how great askers are more likable, and that is more about the curiosity factor. When you sit with someone, whether it was colleagues, business colleagues sitting together, or even daters, just sitting and asking the person meaningful questions about themselves. Coming away from those meetings, the people who ask more questions about the person they were with were perceived to be much more, attractive, more likable. You want to get together with that person again. You want to spend more time with them because they asked meaningful questions about you. They had a great concern. They bond. That's what happens. You bond with someone. Don't ever try to just go in and sell someone. And the interesting thing is, so it showed those people were more likable, but even in dating with daters, if you ask the right questions, so many people on a date, the first time the guy sits down and goes, let me tell you about me. I've got this and I've got this. I've got this car and I've done this. It's not about that. It's really about being curious and really being truly interested about the person you're with. And how, and always, know your stuff and how that relates, because it all ties back together. So it's pretty magical. This asking process is really amazing.
I love it. And like Don, he did his homework on the two of you. Don, that was one of the best introductions I've ever heard in my life. You did your homework. You knew all about Crystal. You, of course, it was easy with Mark. You guys go back, but I was very impressed. So good job.
Right, no, that's true.
Brent, I appreciate that.
Such a great point because a lot of people don't do that. One of the things, one of the lessons we were saying is when you ask somebody something, you need to think about the value circle, right? So in the science of getting rich, if you just want what's in it for me. This woman told the story of how she wanted to become a speaker. So she heard a speaker one day. She runs up she says, I want to be that. She runs up on stage and says, I want to pick your brain. And he said, okay, I'm going to have you up on stage after. And he pulls her up on stage and says, this is exactly what never to do if you want something from someone. You don't jump in and say, I want to take everything you have from you and never not offer you anything. We need to keep in mind that value circle. You have to give more value than you're asking for in capital return. So such an important thing to remember.
That's funny.
I want to say that Don, what she was just saying about give value, what's the first thing Don said? Is that Don told me he was sick because I asked him because we're friends. And I said, look, here's what you need. You need this much zinc, you need this much vitamin C, and it's got to buy bioflavonoids. And I just took him through it, and better than that, because we've been, even if he wasn't a close friend, and I was just trying to befriend him, I took pictures, everything, because today we're all in a virtual world. For the rest of forever, everything's going to be video-centric, virtual. It's all going to be avatar. By the end of this year, we're all going to be able to take our little cell phones. We're going to have our living avatar. So whatever you're doing as a picture, you're going to have a Gosaic image come out 3D. Sort of like, I'll give the best example. We were honored and opened at the opening of the Museum of the Bible, the world's biggest museum now, in 470,000 square feet in Washington, D.C. And we got a private tour and with wonderful people. But we walk in and we just got done watching on Netflix, which was talked about a second ago because you saw the comparison, and it's a great comparison, Martin Luther King, because I grew up a Lutheran. So all of a sudden I thought, that's Martin Luther. That's Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King. That's Martin Luther. I mean, a little bald head, and he was like 4'2" or something. And I went up, and I thought it was so real because it was an avatar. I went, shook his hand, and my hand went straight through him. And I thought, whoa, I get goosebumps telling you guys that. But that's what's going to come out of our phone because of 5G, which is you guys being leading edge. That's where we're going. And I love that you're going to be able to show a house virtually. You're going to be able to change the colors, change the decoration. I mean, because she is, little Sally homemaker. Crystal does every home we've owned, and a lot of them, and all the real estate. We own a lot of real estate income. We fix it up. But now we're going to do it even better because of all the beautiful stuff you got with, I don't know if Bella did it or you. I know you guys own that company, but it's just perfect.
That's beautiful. I have to ask you another question, Mark. You've written so many great books, and I know you've inspired so many people. I get the feeling that this one's special to you. For some reason, I get the feeling that this book really something maybe you don't share a lot really inspired you to write this book. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. No, give us the real reason you wrote this book.
Look, Jack and I wrote Chicken Soup because we thought the soul of America was hurting, and boy, did we find it. We hit a grand slam home run. I mean, I said it'd sell $1.5 million in a year and a half. We did $1.3 million. Then I said we'd sell $5 million, and the publisher would get out of here. And then we did it. And then we sold 15 million, 10 million, and then 15 million a year for a lot of years. And then we sold 374 million in China. But I think ask is more important. I really think it's going to transition more people bigger and better. And let me just give you a perfect story that's out of the book. There's a guy, we have a story about our friend Jim Stovall. Stovall is a kid that is big, strong, fast. He's going to be an NFL player. And sure enough, 19 years old, he gets fully recruited. I mean, this guy is bigger than a house. He's strong. He's fast. He's got everything you want. The doctor checks him out and says, sorry to tell you this, Jim, but 6 months from now, you're going to be permanently and forever blind. Kids, talk about crushing a human spirit. He's self-incarcerated in a little 9-by-12 room. He's got a radio, a television, and a telephone. And he's grumbling. And his mommy and daddy come in and say, look, Jimmy, this isn't going to work. You can't keep complaining here. You go down to the blind meeting. Maybe they can help you. He gets there, and it's nothing but an echo chamber, which he knew about the complaints. So that wasn't helping. But fortuitously, he sits next to a woman named Kathy, who's blind. And she says, I'm a court stenographer, and I do a really good job. He said, I used to love to watch thrillers, and I'd love to see somebody throw a right hook. I wish somebody would do something about that. She jabs him in. This is a pivotal answer for all of us watching, listening anywhere in the world. She says, wait a second, we're somebody. Why can't we fix it? Why can't we do something? And that's everybody's question today. Why can't I do it? Why can't I fix it? Why can't I sell it? Why can't I make EXP get 1 million people, which is one of the things I think Glenn said early on, or one of you said, and said, wow, why can't we do it? They created, now all of us are sighted, so you don't even know this exists, but the biggest and fastest growing streaming service is actually narrative television for the blind. They have 14 million people paying $10 a month to do it, and that'd be great. I get called by a speaker you guys all heard over the time, one of my close friends, Charles Tremendous Jones, and Charlie called him and said, look, Mark, you and I have been friends forever. And I know you're selling 15 million books a year and you haven't got time to breathe, but you got to read this book. Jim Stovall wrote this book. I get goosebumps telling you guys. It's called The Ultimate Gift, and it is the ultimate book. Other than yours, I think you're going to love this after the Bible. I said, look, Charlie, if you and I weren't the best friends, I couldn't do it, but I'm going to squirrel away. I'll read it, and I'll write an endorsement and forward if it's really good. I was so wowed. I wrote the forward. I wrote an endorsement on the back. I said, this has got to become a movie. It is so clear. You see what you need to do to have the ultimate gift work. Stovall wrote me back a long letter. We put it in a book and said, man, if I live 100 years, there won't be one day of my life that I don't thank Mark Victor Hansen for writing that, because I didn't see it. Right? That's why, remember, ask yourself, ask others, ask God. He asked for an endorsement, didn't think he could get to me, so he went through one of my best friends and said, get me to him. So we interviewed Stovall for this book, and I've never met this guy. He's blind, and I don't go to Tulsa, so, but he is the most wise man I've ever talked to on the telephone. I mean, I call him on a regular basis. We're best friends, no question about it, telephone buddies. He does an interview with us that just wows us, but he finishes it with this that fits this time of government-imposed worldwide incarceration for 8 billion of us, not one of us, but 8 billion. You should only quarantine sick people, not well people, as far as I'm concerned. He writes this, and then he tells us, look, I now write books that I can't read. I now make movies that I can't see. And he made $100 million with the movie called The Ultimate Gift, he says, because of me. And I couldn't be more thankful, because books can leverage you. Books are a universal benefaction. They live forever. They have legacy wealth. And Glenn said he's already read whatever he said, half or 3/4 of our book and loved it. Everyone that's read it is getting, this morning already, we had to step away when we started talking to Scott because we got some emergency stuff. Great things are happening because this, in answer to Scott's question, is an illuminating book. I thought we did a great job with Chicken Soup, but the creator, if he or she is a real creator like you all are, is greater than his or her creation. The best creations of Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo are at the end of their life, not when they're 20 years old. And I'm not anywhere near the end of my life. I'm at halftime, but it is the most forgive me for bragging about my own book, but there's never been a book on asking. You go, wait a second, all of us know the spiritual law, ask and you shall receive. But no one taught you how to do it. And so Crystal and I said, look, the difference between the success and super success means you're asking your way to get to your destiny. And yes, you're going to get some rejection. Yes, you're going to get some people say, Brent, I don't care about that. Whatever they say, and you just go, you got to say next.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
We're open to any other questions because we love doing this.
Well, for sure, thinking about the things that you've been talking about, guys, the asking is the big part. And I think, Mark, you hit it on the head. You said Chicken Soup was huge and ask is going to be bigger. Chicken Soup touched the soul, obviously. I mean, that was the purpose, to warm the heart, make us, I cried more than on a few of the different books and stories. I mean, constantly. Right? No, it was the whole series. I mean, I even got Chicken Soup for the Golfer's Soul somewhere, probably right behind me here. I mean, it was like every version of it. Chicken Soup for the Baby, I mean, you guys covered it all. But I think what's different is that this book is about the action to take once you've opened your heart, right? It's the action piece that makes the difference. We can feel good, but until we take that action, and so how do we ask? I mean, I know Ron used to say, ask intelligently. That was one of his, phrases that he used. I know he loves speaking with you, by the way. I mean, you guys, our mutual friend, Kyle Wilson, you guys did so many events together, but I remember him saying, ask, but ask intelligently. Don't ask, with a muddled mind. Don't ask, in stupid ways. Don't ask with no expectation. Ask.
Exactly. We have a section in the book called Prepare to be a Good Asker. And it's exactly what you're talking about, Don. So the first part of that is belief. You cannot go in with a negative attitude, because truly, so many of us think that, I find in my practice as a transformational life coach, people think that life is happening out there somewhere and it's just coming at them and they're, ducking and dodging and trying to keep the balls up in the air. But that's the illusion. That's not true. Life is really created from the inside out. Okay. Life is being created inside of you right now, whether you know it or not. That's just stimuli for it. You get to control your life experience. So it's really about understanding that and taking that inner journey. And part of that is, you know, and there are so many things throughout this book, but preparing to be a good asker. You know, it starts with belief. Number one, belief. You have to decide that you believe you deserve an answer and that you believe there is an answer out there for you. Okay, that you're not giving up. That belief and that conviction is so important. Number one. Number two is action. Okay, you have to put your asking journey in action. You can't go, okay, God, I'm asking for this, and then I'm going to sit on the couch and hope it comes to me. You know, not going to happen. Your asking journey has to be activated. We are physical beings. We need to put it in action. We're here to get out there. If you're asking to be the best-selling recording artist of all time, you better get out there and find out what that looks like, what those top 10 people are doing. You know, what are they singing? Why do people like it? Same thing with this. Whatever you want to do, you need to jump into that quantum soup and say, I am becoming part of this, and every day I'm going to write down these action steps. I'm going to ask people how they did it, why they did it, what they're doing, and be endlessly curious, and then put an action plan in place and never stop. And not all of your actions will be fruitful or lead you to exactly what you want, but it will lead you to the next place. And as long as you keep that belief and you keep taking action. And then the third step in preparing to be a good asker is visualization. And that's part of the, you know, creating from the inside out. Instead of looking at the world and saying, and this is happening so much right now, especially like, oh, everything's collapsing. We'll never be able to make any money. Oh, look what's out there. Okay, I'm going to let that. Everything's bad. Nothing's good. No, that's not how. If you let the outside determine, you're actually creating it. You're just taking the stimuli from the outside. Instead, you have to go inside and say, what is my ideal scenario? What do I want in this life? Whether it's relationships, career, whatever it is, go to the ideal scenario and visualize it in great detail. I will be the number one realtor in this company, and or recruiter, or I will be connecting more people with this company, and write down what that looks like. And the great thing about using your right brain, when you visualize, you're using your right brain. Get out of your left brain that's always logically telling you all the reasons why you can't do it. We're saying just paint a beautiful artistic picture of what you want. Ideal. Don't let your left brain get in the way. And then you engineer that backwards. And your left brain can help you do that, you know, but it's like, okay, what did I do to create this beautiful thing? Well, I had to do this. I talked to this many people. I connected with this many people. And if you write a plan doing that from that visualization, you will start to see yourself. You'll look back and go, wow, look where I am today, because I truly followed that plan. But it takes commitment, and you have to decide, you know, I'm creating my experience from the inside out. I'm shutting off all that negative stuff. Because if you're listening to that negative stuff, you can't, it's exactly the opposite input that you want. You can't listen to input that is the opposite of what you want, what you're going for.
Go ahead.
All these guys on this show, the first weeks of the pandemic, it was all about shut the news off, quit that input that's coming in, right? You've got to shut that out.
Yes.
And start to, from the inside, Crystal, to your point, from the inside, life's not happening to you, it's happening through you, it's happening for you. And you know, we all know that no matter what's going on, in fact, I was talking the other day in a group and I said, you know, you've really got to learn to separate your personal economy from the economy, because it doesn't matter what's happening out there. You can have your own experience of it, right? You create that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So when I started, you know, I was reading Ralph Waldo Emerson, the guy who started the theology school at Harvard. And his first line is, every act is its own reward. So let me unwrap that. When, you know, Chip Collins told me to start speaking, you know, I'd call on 10, sell 1. That's faith and ratios. And then pretty soon you'd call on 10 and sell 2. And then pretty soon somebody gave me a directory and I was selling 10 out of 10 because I had something that they wanted. My closing line was, I want to triple your income and double your time off. Who's going to say no to that, right? I mean, I knew how to ask a question. So now you say, well, how does that apply to today? Well, Art Mortel, who you've all heard speak probably, is one of my colleagues, friends for 44 years. And Art says, the reason you've sold more books than anybody is that you're disciplined. And I said, Art, what do you mean by that? And he said, because you're consistent. He says, you've never missed doing any media. Now let's talk to that bring it up to date, is that obviously we're doing these podcasts, which are, thank God, we came into time with podcasts and virtual reality, and we're able to do them. So 3 nights ago, we're in a podcast. You won't even believe this, but in Vietnam at 5 p.m. our time, it's early in the morning, 7 o'clock, this guy's time, or 6 o'clock. And never met this guy. We do a 1-hour podcast, and, you know, we've been to Vietnam. We've talked there twice in the last 2 years, and it's great. We're trying to create free enterprise in a communist country because I hate communism. I hate socialism. I'm a flaming free enterpriser. So I think you guys are, yeah. And everybody ought to own their own real estate and then buy one. You know, Jim Rohn would always say, you know, buy 1 car and 2 houses, not 2 cars and no houses, right? I mean, Jimmy did that and did a great job. So we're on this guy's show, and I don't expect anything, but we get called yesterday from a broadcaster who's a friend of ours. Remember, every person I called on, those 10 people, I get goosebumps saying it. You will make a sale, even though that person, like I think it was Brent early today, said they may not buy or they may not like you or whatever. You may, you know, be sniveling, whatever the deal was. We get called by this guy yesterday morning, and he said, he's on FaceTime on my phone, and I'm doing tape interviews, and I'm a little upset, but I said, what is it? He said, you got to meet the most important guy that's going to change your life. I said, that's you, Ken. And he said, no, it's not me. Here's Simon Leslie, who owns every airline magazine in the world, all the boat magazines and all that. And I go, wow, yes, I'll take this call. I'm glad to do it. Now, that doesn't mean anything. Do you accept that if you keep studying, if you keep thinking, and what I love about looking at your houses and your backdrops, you guys got books. You've got to be a lifelong student of self-help action books. Now, obviously, that's why I write, and have written 309 bestsellers, 59 #1 New York Times, I'm #1 London, China, all that. But the point is, this guy is a fan, and he's in London. And I said, can we have a private call after Ken drops off? I said, yeah. He said, look, the airlines will not let us bring in magazines anymore because they're dirty on the airplane. So we got to do something else. He said, do you have a solution, Mark? I said, heavenly days. I think it's virtual. Why don't we have it go into the phone to like he does American Ways. I'll just do one airline, and I'm not hyping any airline. But I said, we could have it. And he says, well, will you do the first stories? Hell yes, I'm going to do the first stories on my book. Ask. Are you kidding me? And I said, look, Peter Guber taught us when we were with him in Hawaii that everything is going to go virtual. Everything is going to go video. Everything is going to go avatar. And I'm telling this guy that, and I'm giving documentation with the top videography producer in the world, former head of, Sony and everything else, and did the greatest in the world and Rocky and all those great movies and Rain Man. And he said, yeah, I didn't see that. He said, you've just changed my whole life. I said, yeah, when you walk on an airplane, so Glenn walks on the airplane, it goes into your phone, Glenn, and you either say, yes, I'll take the American Airlines video magazine, or no. And he says, that changes my whole world. Now, he asked me for help, but look, my mind is, I'm an idea factory, and that's what I'm asking all your agents to become, is asking idea factories that they're asking themselves so they keep growing, they keep expanding, because my teacher, Buckminster Fuller in graduate school, said real wealth, RW equals ideas times energy. Energy is infinite. Ideas, you can have infinite ideas under one circumstance. And Crystal just taught you, if you're positive. If you're negative, you go, I don't have any ideas. I'm a dope. I was told I was stupid by the teacher. No, don't let anyone tell you you're stupid or dumb. Everybody's a genius somewhere. And I'll give that 2 quick examples that I talked to this week. David Foster and Quincy Jones are unequivocally the 2 best orchestrators in the world. You guys could argue and tell me somebody else, but I don't think you'd find it because they've done everybody that's good. Both of them are failing in school. They were not good in school. David's a close friend of ours. But here's the world's best orchestrator, did Whitney Houston, did everybody. And if you haven't listened to David's Hitman music, just get it in your whatever. There's 2 systems, and you know the systems. I say the word, all of a sudden they'll start playing, so I can't say it.
So awesome. As I'm sitting here listening to you and just thinking about the word ask, because it's such a powerful word. And I'm reminded of all the people that are out there and that are listening and watching that have, let this pandemic take control of their mind. Even before that, people give up, they quit, and when I'm thinking about asking, well, if you're thinking about asking, first of all, you got to know what you want. right? You've got to know, what are you going to ask for? And you've got to define that. And I think so many people have given up or they've quit or, and so this forces them to be, reflective and go, wow, what is it that I really want? So I can start asking. And man, your stories are so inspirational. I could listen to you guys all day.
Two things, and then I'll let Crystal answer it too. But number one is there's not one fear, there's three. There's three viruses. The first one's a physical virus, which only affects people that have a weak immune system. That's why, when Don and I talked, I said, you got to have a resilient immune system. You got to have an immune system that beats the band. So there's a virus. But that virus that you're talking about is the fear virus. And remember, I'm a student of all the self-help guys like Napoleon Hill's Think, Grow Rich, and he wrote all the fireside chats for FDR. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. Confront your fears, make it disappear. And each of us have to do that. And it's an individual thing. It can't even be a corporate thing. You guys are teaching all the right stuff, so I'm not questioning that. But the third fear is the economic fear that the places is crashing and burning. And that's what I'm saying is, even the guy I talked to yesterday that owns the airline magazines, he said, until you turn that around, and I said, I can show you how to turn around the airlines because we're close friends with Jeff Hoffman, who created Priceline. He's got a solution that we do. So you got to do that, and you got to. But the most important thing is your mindset creates your money set. Your mindset creates your future set. So then, with regard to asking, I ran a $100 million seminar company called the Enlightened Millionaire Institute. And what we did is we had everybody at the start pair bond, and you guys could do this virtually, and ask 50 times in a row. I'll pick on Glenn real quick. Glenn, we're only going to do 3, but what do you want, real quick?
I want to visit you in Scottsdale.
Good. Glenn, what do you want? Something different.
I want to be with my grandkids today.
By the way, we got 6 grandkids, so we'll love them. Next, what do you want?
I want to go play golf with Brent Gove and Rob Flick and Scott Lewis.
Right, but here's the deal though, is if you go to 50 times asking Scott, what happens is he'll get to his real core spiritual value, which is what we're teaching is the highest form is, God, what is your destiny for me? Because now there are a few people that are atheists, but that's like less than 1%. So we'll leave them alone. They can have their atheism. But God, what's your destiny for me? Because God's got it. If you're alive, you got a destiny. Everybody listening's got a destiny. And your thing is to brush off all the dirt, brush off all the withholds, brush off all the 7 roadblocks. And you got to look at our roadblocks because what Crystal said is correct. You don't have one. Most of it's got 3 or 4. And you got to confront them and then defeat them, conquer them. I've had to do it. Every one of us on the deal here has done this. And what we're saying is we're giving you 100% our permission to go conquer all your fears, learn how to be a master asker. And what we're saying is we're going to give you the Ask Challenge. Get one of the books. Bookstores aren't open, so you're going to have to get it on Amazon. They'll get it to you. You can do it electronically, whatever you want. Thanks, Glenn. And then we want you to send a receipt to reception@markvictorhansen.com. And what are we going to do?
We decided to do the biggest book club discussion in the world. So after everyone's had a chance to read their books, come midsummer toward late summer, we're going to do this giant book club discussion. It's going to be so much fun because we want to help people. It'll just be free. It'll be a private group, free to everybody. But we want to help people put their asking journey in motion and really, just talk about the principles of the book and discuss them, how they apply in people's lives. Because really, for all of us, a part of our destiny is really showing up. I don't care what our, individual destinies turn out to be. The important thing is that we're showing up. We're showing up every day. We're curious about life. We're engaging in life, and we're pushing ourselves forward and moving in through that process. It's so important. And this asking journey really helps you step by step and to remind you how to do it and to stay engaged in that process.
And Don,
your life is important to everybody.
Honey.
Yeah.
And Don, you said, and I probably shouldn't put you on the spot here, but you said, look, when we're doing that, we may be able to use a Virabella because we'd love to give you guys credit and say, hey, look, and we're assuming because we've been on all these giant podcasts. Thanks, Glenn. And I know that you may have to have other people vote on it, but if it's possible, why don't we use you guys' podcast? Your platform.
Sure.
I want to use the right word. And if we use a platform and it works, let's make it work because we want to turn the world around right now because it's not just America. The whole world's got to get out of this. I'm going to call it a doldrum. In sailing, you hit a doldrum, no wind, right? And we've got to get out of this doldrum.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm sure that, and you've got a whole bunch of influencers here. In fact, my guess is Glenn Sanford, the founder, and Dave, the president, and Stacy. I'll bet they're all watching right now, and I'll bet they're going, "Yeah, let's do that." So we'll figure that out.
Look, I don't mind asking. You guys could say no, but I'll put you on the spot publicly.
We will not say no ever. That's not in our vocabulary.
That's awesome.
Hey, Scott, I know you probably want to wrap this up, and I'm not sure what the timing is, so I'm just going to say one thing, and I want to go back to your fear factor, the fear virus that you just talked about, Mark. Yesterday, Allison and I were on American Airlines, reading the American Airlines magazine, by the way. I wasn't even worried about it. I didn't have a mask on. They were making us wear masks. I was like, we're not doing it. Allison and I have refused. We're building our immune system. We're healthy. We're not going anyplace. And so we got on board. Everybody's got masks, right? Everybody's got masks. It's mandated, and of course you can take them off. And so they make it appropriate by saying if there are people, be conscious of people who cannot wear a mask. So there may be people, right? So it lets them off the hook so we don't get the stink eye from everybody.
Yeah.
But the reality is, what's really interesting is flight attendant walks up to us in the first flight out of Puerto Rico, packed flight, and she walks up and she taps me on the shoulder. I'm in the center right over here, and she taps me and says, "I want to thank you. You've given me hope that everybody's not listening to the garbage on TV, that we're not living in the fear." This is a flight attendant.
Thank God.
Right? And she gets it. And she's part of this organization that's like, has to do whatever they have to do to keep, abide by laws and all this stuff that's going on. But she said it's craziness. We talked to her before we got off, and it's just nuts. So I just love that, because people are creating their own experience with fear right now. They're scaring themselves to death.
That's what we're finding, that exact same thing everywhere we go, is that most people are going to start to push back, because everybody that we know wants to work. America is great because America is a working group, whether it's white collar or blue collar. That's not the point. That we've been entrepreneurial. I wrote the book 1 Minute Millionaire, and I said, look, there's a million ways to make a million. There's one right, easy, perfect, acceptable way to you. And what an entrepreneur does, take low value and make it high value. And that's what Glenn did when he created this thing in 2008, to the marketplace, to the future. And then you deserve to make a fortune. And the best thing to do is electronically, and AI is going to be one of the vehicles that artificial intelligence, which is just super computation. Sorry, all of us know these code words, and sometimes they're not known to everybody. So I want to explicate. And so we couldn't agree with you more. And more people are thinking we got to get out of here, meaning the fear.
That's right.
I had somebody ask me an interesting question yesterday. Speaking of asking, and they go, "So are you even watching the news?" And I'm going, "Man, I haven't watched the news in a month." And he kind of got on me. He goes, "Man, you got to be informed, man. You got to be informed." I thought about it, and he's right. You just may not like what I'm about to say, but he's right. If you want to stay informed about every rotten, horrible, terrible thing that's happening in this world, watch the news. So you will be informed. It's all about what you're going to be informed about, right? And so, man, I'm reading books like your book. I'm reading The Energy Bus by John Gordon. And in there, he talks about not letting people walk through your mind with their dirty feet.
I love that line.
I really think that you got to input equals output, right? And, so read things that are filled with love and hope and joy and strategy and passion. Watch good things like this, and then the output's where you want it. Do you guys agree with that philosophy?
Well, we're saying you got to limit your negative input to 15 minutes a day of the news. You can catch it in the headlines, and then you got to go, unless you're going to do something about it. And obviously, we own a couple companies that are going to do something about it. But if you limit that and then put in the good stuff, you feel good, you live well. And where we are at the top of the mountain here in McDowell Mountain, it's beautiful outside right now.
It's gorgeous. And here's the thing, you guys, most of what they're sharing on the media, mainstream media, is not fact-based. If you really look at the facts, all these doctors are trying to come out and say, hey, we have successfully treated all of these cases almost 100% with hydrochloroquine, zinc, and Z-Pak. And if you give it to them early enough, the CDC said, oh, don't use it early, use it late when they're already really sick. Well, they said, it doesn't work that way. You have to give it to them right away. And on almost every case, like this guy had treated hundreds and only one death. It was some really older person who had other conditions. But there's a treatment. And in 5 days, they give it 5 days. On the 6th day, every person says they're 100% well. So why are we being scared? You have to ask yourself, when there's so much energy put behind scaring people, and the original numbers they gave us were completely flawed, the predictive numbers, at the point they had said we would have 1 million deaths, we had 30,000 deaths. So the numbers were way wrong. So, but we didn't adjust the plan. We still kept the plan that predicted the 1 million deaths. So this is the same as the flu. And we've never responded like this to the flu. I mean, and I know it's a nasty virus, but we're crushing people's immune systems. They're not getting outside. They weren't, some people weren't even getting sunshine. All the things that make us happy, being together, keeping our businesses going, creating a livelihood. That's what we need to focus on. That's the truth. I mean, just stick with the truth and live your life, and that'll keep your immune system strong.
Yeah. And your company proves one other thing, and that is when Glenn Sanford started this in 2008, it was like, are you nuts? Don't you understand the big banks and the insurance companies are making everyone go bankrupt, and everyone's losing their real estate, and we're losing our businesses. We're in the biggest crash ever. Two parts to this. Number one is that the banks and the insurance companies are doing that again to the public. And if you go behind the scenes, and then you got to watch who's doing this and who's getting paid off and who owns the CDC and who owns this stuff. And when you find it, you'll change. So there's great opportunity. And the other book we'll give everyone free if they go to my website, markvictorhansen.com, is How to Be Up and Down Times. I wrote it with somebody I think Don's got coming on, Mitzi Purdue. And it's amazing. But what we say is, look, in the next 10 years from 2020 to 2030, we're going to have $50 trillion just in America. 50 trillion with all these new businesses, like turning trash into cash, your business using AI and all that stuff. So it is an extremely exciting time. People are going to buy more houses, bigger houses, better houses than they've ever had before, and probably second and third houses.
Hey, Mark, what's the website for your book?
Yeah,
for Mitzi and your book, but you had an offer where we could send the receipt.
Yeah. Send a receipt to markvictorhansen.com.
Oh, no. The receipt to reception at markvictorhansen.com. Yeah. So when you buy your book on Amazon, send the receipt to reception at markvictorhansen.com. And we will make sure you get an invitation to the book club discussion.
And we'll also send you a copy of How to Be Up for free in Downtimes, which tells you that we're going into the most extraordinary time as we get loosed.
Well, I know there's a bunch of people watching this today, and my hope is that every single one of them gets online right now. So great to have you on the show. It's been truly a breath of fresh air, and I can't wait to get to meet you guys personally and spend time with you. We'd love to have you back sometime in the future if you're open to it. It's been fantastic, and we're kind of at that time where we need to wrap things up. But again, huge thank you to Don Hobbs and, of course, Crystal. You're so beautiful in your time here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. I'll be back anytime. And closing thoughts before we wrap it up. I'm gonna start with you, Robbie. Just really quickly, give us your closing thoughts for today.
Well, they pretty much summed up everything that I've always said, is that the best, the people that are the best at conversations ask the most questions, and especially if you ask follow-on questions, so that the people understand and realize you are actually listening to what they're saying. And I've always said, the more questions you ask, the more interesting you become. And we're looking for people's pain points, and unless we dig deep, like Mark said, you're never going to find them. You got to keep asking them, and tell me more about that, and fill me in, and what did you mean by this, and where would you want to go, and if you could design your perfect life, what would it look like, and what would it cost to finance it? And if we could help you with a cash flow to the point where you can be able to finance your perfect life, would it be worth you listening to what we have to say? And I believe what you're saying 100% is asking questions is vital. The more questions you ask, the more knowledge you'll get, the more interesting you'll appear. And I can't think of a better title of a book, quite frankly. And I'm looking forward to reading it myself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Gino, how about you?
Well, little Crystal there said something. I think I'm going to write a book with the Hansens. And it's going to be TMAY. Tell me about yourself.
Ooh, that's a good title.
And it's literally, thank you for, I'm going to write it with them. I've always wanted to write this. because I literally say that every time I meet someone. And it just leads into everything. And questions are the key. And you've got to be quiet. My wife says, not shut up, be quiet after you ask the question. And that's the hardest thing for all of us realtors to do, mortgage people, title people, who's ever listening to this. You're good at asking questions, but you don't give them a chance to answer.
That's
There you
amazing.
go. I thank you guys. I'm going to see you. I'll be out in Phoenix, Scottsdale, June 4th through 6th. And I'm going to go say hi to you guys. I hope you guys
look
are in
forward
town.
to it.
Love it, Gene. Please do.
I'd love to come by and say hi. Thank you guys very much for coming
Thank
on.
you so much.
All right, Brent, it's to you.
Oh, I'm just, this was awesome. This is so great. You're the kind of people I love hanging out with. I think everybody in the world would love to just hang out and be with you guys. You're a beautiful couple. Thank you for being on the show today. We were blessed. Everything that came out of your mouth was like gold. By the way, I will be in Scottsdale in 2 weeks on, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but important business. I am golfing. My brain's out. So I hope you can join me at the Four Seasons for breakfast. I'll treat. But I cannot wait. Scottsdale's my second home. I love it, just in my heart. I'm a Northern California guy. I live an hour from Napa. If you're out here, I will take you for a wonderful time. But thank you for being on today. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
And I personally am in Scottsdale today, and I'm going to get out today and drive up the mountain. And a beautiful day here today, and I'm not going to worry about the virus. I'm going to go meet some people and have some fun. And I know this week that a bunch of real estate agents that are watching this show are going to be asking or telling other agents how they can triple their income and double their time off. That was gold, man. That was
Gold.
We're at the end of the show today. I want to thank everyone, all of our people watching, for attending today. We will be here next week, just like every week, next Saturday, built for this .live. Get your friends here, get your family here. We want to inspire everyone. We hope to see you all again soon. Have a great day.
I am.